lot of young girls coming at you, Keith?
All the time, baby.
He said all the time. You still knocking them down?
I mean, you know, son, just as right.
So when I made the album, it was like, then, you know, my whole thing was when the first song I ever did was Don't Stop Your Love.
You know I will, I surely will.
You know, we all got to pay them bills, so, I mean, it was something that I enjoyed, something that I liked. But, you know, my true first love was music.
The deal, they wanted to just release it as a single. And I wrote Don't Stop Your Love by myself, you know what I'm saying, with Fred McFarlane.
Make love tonight.
Don't Stop Your Love. I wrote that with Fred McFarlane, who wrote Jocelyn Brown, Somebody Else's Guy.
Okay.
You know, so.
I have two tape recorders, and I used to sing on one of them, then switch it to the other one, and then music.
We just lay down, baby, and hold each other real close.
Man, if we mix these hip hop beats with that R&B, it's gonna be a little more edgy and it's gonna be a little more street. Legs off and doing certain things to other people. I said, all right, man, I need to get up out of here.
In the night, I'm gonna take it real slow.
Keith Sweat was once the smoothest man in R&B, dropping it so good. You fall in love just pressing play. But behind the scenes, Keith Sweat's latest news reveals shocking scandals that left careers crushed, friends betrayed, and millions lost. What really happened with the talented girl group Kut Klose? Why did Keith Sweat allegedly abandon the very artists he made famous? And how did a superstar with chart-topping hits end up losing nearly everything? From hidden contracts and shady business moves to bitter divorces and financial ruin, Keith Sweat's scandal update is a wild ride of broken promises and betrayal. What went down with Kut Klose's publishing rights? How deep did Keith Sweat's money troubles go? You might think you know the smooth voice legend, but trust me, today we're spilling tea hotter than Keith's own ballads. Did fame get to his head, or was there something darker at play? Let's dive in and find out. Keith Sweat was no overnight sensation. Born in Harlem, he faced challenges right from the start. His father died young, leaving his mother Juanita to raise 5 kids on her own. She taught Keith the meaning of hard work, something he'd need growing up in Harlem's grand housing projects. Keith dodged drugs and street trouble, thanks mostly to his mom's strict rules. Instead, he dreamed big. By day, he worked on Wall Street, climbing the ladder from mailroom clerk at Payne Weber to brokerage assistant on the New York Stock Exchange. By night, Keith chased his passion, singing at local clubs and pouring his soul into his music. Sweat's first break came when he joined a Harlem-based band called Jamila. It didn't take long before he went solo, impressing small labels with his silky voice. Finally, in 1987, his debut album, Make It Last Forever, exploded onto the scene. With hits like I Want Her, Keith Sweat wasn't just popular, he was unstoppable. Collaborated with the talented Teddy Riley, they brought the world New Jack Swing, mixing smooth R&B with hip-hop beats. Sweat wasn't just topping charts, he was shaping an entire era of music. Riding high, Keith began branching out. He didn't just want to be a star, he wanted to make stars. Keith created his own label, signing acts like Silk and Kut Klose. Everything seemed perfect, but this fairy tale wasn't meant to last. As Keith Sweat became richer and more powerful, trouble was just around the corner. And the artists he was supposed to lift up, they'd soon discover the dark side of working with Keith Sweat. Kut Klose was a group of talented women, ready to make it big. They trusted Keith to help them reach stardom. Instead, their dreams turned into nightmares. Keith signed them to his label, and at first, things looked great. Their song, I Like, was a hit, and they sang backing vocals for Keith's huge track, Twisted. But the success didn't last. Kut Klose soon realized their contracts weren't what they seemed. Hidden inside their deals was a tricky publishing agreement that gave away their rights. For just $1, imagine working your heart out, writing hit songs, only to realize you basically handed away your earnings for pocket change. But that wasn't even the worst part. Kut Klose claimed Keith started playing favorites, spotlighting one singer, Athena, over the rest. Tabitha, another group member, spoke up about their struggles. She confronted Keith, saying they couldn't even afford basic living expenses. And what did Keith Sweat tell them? To go get regular jobs and ride the city bus. The disrespect cut deep. Tabitha couldn't believe the man who promised to make them famous was now leaving them stranded and broke. Kut Klose tried fighting back, recording new songs, and even working with Missy Elliott. But the label only wanted Athena's voice. Tabitha and another member, Luvon, felt sidelined and betrayed. Then, without warning, the women heard on the radio that Kut Klose was looking for 2 new singers. Keith Sweat was planning to replace them, and Athena was secretly in on it. Talk about betrayal. Their second album never got finished. Athena tried going solo, but without the group, she flopped. Kut Klose was trapped, still owing Keith Sweat's label 6 more albums they couldn't record. It took years for them to escape. By the time their contract expired, their careers were ruined and friendships were destroyed. Keith Sweat's scandal update doesn't stop there. While Kut Klose fought to survive, Keith's personal life was falling apart. Married for 10 years to Lisa Wu, Keith faced a messy divorce. Lisa went on to reality TV fame, joining Real Housewives of Atlanta. Keith Sweat refused to let their sons appear on the show, sparking tension. His decision was firm: no reality TV for his kids. Things got uglier when Keith Sweat faced serious money problems. Despite massive record sales, Keith somehow ended up deep in debt. In 2012, his lavish 6-bedroom Detroit mansion went into foreclosure. The banks didn't stop there. They chased Keith for hundreds of thousands of dollars more. How does an R&B legend who sold millions of albums end up owing so much money? Keith Sweat tried fighting back, but he lost. The foreclosure left him owing over $200,000 after the sale. He was dragged through court, wages garnished, assets seized. It was a humiliating fall from grace for a star who once ruled the charts. Keith Sweat's life seemed to crumble overnight. Fans wondered how someone so talented could end up like this. Meanwhile, Kut Klose was still struggling to rebuild their lives. Tabitha said adjusting to regular jobs was brutal. People mocked her, calling her washed up. Keith had moved on, hosting successful radio shows and launching new business ventures, like luxury candles and travel bags. Yet despite his financial troubles, Keith Sweat somehow found ways to bounce back. But questions lingered. What about Kut Klose? Why did he distance himself so completely from the artists he'd once championed? In 2021, Keith performed in a huge versus battle against Bobby Brown. Fans expected Kut Klose to join him. After all, they helped make hits like Twisted huge. But Keith Sweat didn't invite them. Instead, he performed alone, leaving Tabitha and the group devastated. In an interview, Tabitha openly questioned Keith's motives. Did Keith Sweat want Kut Klose erased from his history? Was it shame over the bad contracts? Or did he just see no use for them anymore? Tabitha and the group still hope for reconciliation, even launching a fundraiser to record new music. Sadly, the support wasn't there. They barely raised $2,600 of their $100,000 goal. Keith Sweat, meanwhile, was rebuilding his image. He toured with R&B legends, stayed active on social media, and invested in charity work. Fans praised him for his resilience. But Kut Klose was left in the shadows, their contributions nearly forgotten. Keith Sweat's latest news is full of contradictions. Is he the smooth-voiced legend with a heart of gold, or a ruthless businessman who left friends in the dust? Kut Klose lost everything, and Keith walked away mostly unscathed. His personal struggles were real, losing his mansion, facing huge debts, but he bounced back, while the group he signed sank into obscurity. Was Keith Sweat a victim of bad luck, or the architect of his own scandals? Tell me what you think. Is Keith Sweat to blame, or did Kut Klose make their own mistakes? Does success in music always come at the expense of someone else? Share your thoughts below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more explosive stories. Until next time, keep the tea hot, friends.